Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward.
Hey guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not an expert. Do your own research. Okay, so today let's just review BTC USD on the daily. Everything is pretty neutral for me right now. I am waiting to see where the lows are printed. So what are we looking at right now? We're obviously looking at a slow grind downtrend that started at 70K, ended at 33. And this overall move has looked quite a bit different than what we saw back in May. May was just like a fast move, fast liquidation run where everybody just got wiped out instantly over the span of a very short amount of time. Whereas this has been a very slow grind down. This is very much similar. This is very comparative to like 2018 and 2019, where we just saw lower highs and lower lows. Whereas this was just like a fast nuke. Everybody got liquidated, and then we saw a recovery. So what are we looking at right now? We're obviously looking at price making a low at 33K or so. And right now, it really depends on what you denote as a high. So if you guys want to call this last area right around 44.6 as a high, then we technically broke it, although we never closed on high time frames above it. But we did break that. If you denote this as the last significant high, then we technically made a higher high. Now, when you mark these levels, it's like, especially when you trade price action and when you are a general retail trader, everything is very subjective for the most part. And where you denote highs and lows, that can really be subjective as well. Now, to me personally, I am not sure where price goes. Like, I've had the idea that price will come back to 33, 34K for a long time now. Um, I'm not really quite prepared to call this a bullish market structure yet either, even though if it did make a technical higher high, again, you'll have to denote this as the last high. Some people might denote this like 53K area as like the last significant high. It looks like a more of a high for some people. For me personally, I'm looking to see where the low is printed, because if we go down and we find a low, maybe like 40K or something like that, chop around for a little bit longer, and then we clearly break this 46K level, then at that point I'm starting to consider there being a break in market structure. At that point, I'll consider this being a higher low compared to what we saw back in January, late January, and at that point, I'll also consider this being a higher high. The context would be very, very similar to what we saw back in September. So what did we see back in September? We saw price chop around for months on end. This was an accumulation cycle. And after that point, what happened? We came up and we hit a lower high compared to May. And this is always going to happen, right? You're never going to have a higher high. You're never going to go, well, not, I shouldn't say never. You should not generally go from like 30K all the way up to 60K without any pullbacks. Generally speaking, you'll have some sort of pullback. Unless this accumulated for like, 6 months or something, then at that point, I would just assume it just goes higher. But it was almost always going to hit some sort of lower high, in my opinion. And it did, right around 53K. And what happened after that? So hit 53K, pulled back, and you can start to see a shift in market structure when the last lows, which were established back around the early August, like the 38, 37K area, this was kind of like the last low that was kind of visible in the chart, because everything else right here, this is just all chop. This is an accumulation period where it's just very choppy price action. I think that's kind of its own little market structure in itself. Whereas here, once it breaks out of the range, it establishes this low. And the minute it breaks and continues to hold above this low, to me, this would be a higher low that's formed. And once this higher low gets established, and we already denote this as the last high around 53K, then what you have is a higher high once 53K gets broken, um, after a higher low, which was around 40K. Of course, this is exactly what happened. We basically hit this higher low, price consolidated for quite some time, for a few weeks. And then we clearly had the clean break right above 53K, and that was the higher high. So contextually, this is very similar to what I'm thinking as well, in the sense that, maybe this was kind of like this last low that was established back at 33K or so. And there's like some smaller price action too. If you look on lower time frames, you could maybe denote this last 37K move down as a last significant low. So if price hits some sort of higher low and chops around, maybe for another week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I don't know how long it's going to take. But if this marks a higher low and we denote this high here, I'm going to start considering this being a bullish market structure. Now, with that said, I don't know how high this is going to go. I still think that lower highs are going to happen. So, maybe this moves up, maybe this breaks above to like 55K, pulls back again. It's entirely possible we start to get this like kind of grind back up as well after the slow grind down price action. Another scenario, more bearish scenario, would be if we get up and we start strongly moving lower and we start wicking into this demand area. At this point, this is a more kind of sustainable low, in my opinion, because we want to see price take a long time to form a bottom. And although this would be bearish in the short term, to me, this would be more sustainable because bottoms take a long time to form. And what I mean by that is it takes a really long time for prices to chop around. If you really look at some of the last significant bottoms that were formed, they really take quite some time to. They take weeks on end, and this is usually a pretty healthy way to form bottoms. It's just like when price just kind of wicks down and chills and consolidates. And this is really what you want to see. You want to see like one final shakeout followed by high volatility, and then for the volatility to dry up and volume and everything else to dry up, and then start to really move. So to me, like, I'm still waiting for kind of one last shakeout personally. I think that that's still on the table. I wouldn't be surprised if, we go up to like 50 something K and then we dump to, I don't know, 45K or something like that. And maybe we have like one last shakeout down to 34K again. And maybe this is the bottom. It's entirely possible. Now, I don't know where this bottom is going to be. It's entirely possible, as I said, that 34, 35K is the bottom. This is like kind of this entire area is a very high volume node. So generally speaking, this is like a pretty decent area to find support at. And with that said, there still is quite a bit of liquidity resting lower. I'm guessing like in the 28Ks and lower. So I'm not quite ready to call like 28K yet. As I said, I still am thinking that 34, 35K is an interesting area. And that should be a support area as well. As we saw back as in the consolidation period, this kind of 34K area was like kind of near the EQ of this entire range as well. So that's again an area to generally look for support. So what's my plan from here? My plan from here is to see where the low is printed. Like, I don't know where the low is going to print, 40K or something like that. If it chops around and forms this low and we break above 46K significantly on high time frame charts and we start to move higher, at that point I'm really willing to change my bias. But until that time, I'm still thinking that this is just kind of like more choppy price action, and I'm still aiming to go lower to like the 35, 34, wherever around that area. That's kind of my overall plan right now. I'm still staying patient. I don't think it's really good to be very high conviction at this current area. There's just a lot of uncertainty with regards to macro, with regards to Russia. Um, the chart isn't super clean or clear to me. So I think it's best to really just be patient and to really just don't necessarily just rush into positions and to like go insane leverage. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.